Welcome back to What Heather Did, and today we're going to take two really cute thrifted t-shirts that are the wrong size and two piles of fabric, and we're going to turn these into something absolutely adorable to wear. So let's get started. I found this shirt at the thrift store and I have no idea what size it is, but I know exactly who I wanted to give this shirt to, and her birthday's coming up. Oh look, Ollie's keeping watch again. So is Charlie. And it's a bit fuzzy. It went through the wash with something fuzzy. And I also found the same trip these pillowcases. That was a struggle. And they go so well. It's a microfiber material, which isn't my favorite, but they're very soft, so it'll work fine. And I was like, these are going to be perfect. And I know exactly what I want to create with them. And luckily, these pillowcases are mostly a mirror image. So all I had to do was remove a few seams, and they'll go perfect to make a, I guess, bat wing shirt. I think that's what they're called. But I'm going to take the pillowcases to replace the sides of the shirt and make it light and flowy and airy and, you know, like wings. And giving credit where credit is due, my daughter helped me come up with the idea to do this. Now, for one of the pillowcases, the closed seam was at the top and then the open was at the bottom, which works out. But for the other one, the open was at the top and the closed was at the bottom, which is backwards from a shirt. So I had to stitch the top seam closed and then open up the bottom seam. On both the shirts, I had to open up a side seam completely, so it'd go up with the open up with the shirt, and then later I'm gonna open up armholes. This is just me showing, like, me taking it apart, and there was a little flappy thing that helps close the pillowcase off. That was a struggle that I took out as well. So I had like a little strip of fabric. See, this right here. I don't know what that's called, but I need to take that out of both pillowcases. Shams? Are they shams? Whatever. And my first step on my shirt was to cut the sides of my shirt off. And because t-shirts are kind of funky, I just folded this in half and laid it as flat as I could. And then even folded the half in half and cut it off. You do want to make sure you know where your design is, because you don't want to end up cutting part of your design off, which I did come really close to one of my edges. So. And one of the, I guess there was a little fold, so it was a little bit funky, but that's okay. I'm just going to lay everything out and then recut it. I'm just kind of tapering it so it blends into the rest of the shirt, the line. And then I wanted this dark part with the purple, I wanted that next to the shirt. That's what I wanted. So I didn't have to undo everything, but I did. So these are where I made the seams. I actually end up going back later because it's just a single fold. Even with the zigzag, I'm on the very bottom when I went back and I like did a double fold seam so it won't fray. Hopefully. Because I just felt like this wasn't going to go as well through the wash. Alright. For the shirts, I'm attaching the pretty sides to each other, starting at the shoulder seam, or the top seam of the pillowcase, since pillowcases don't have shoulders. And then I'm just clipping it down. And I'm going to clip all the way down one side, being really careful not to stretch the t-shirt, because the t-shirt is stretchy, and the pillowcase is not. So you don't want to stretch the t-shirt out. And then, oops, once I finished one side, I went back and did the other side. And I'll actually stitch it on the same way. I will stitch from the shoulder down one side, go back to the shoulder and stitch down the other side. That way the shoulder seam stays aligned. I don't want that to be misaligned. And there's my stitching. I used a zigzag stitch. This is probably going to fray a little bit more. And look, it's longer on one side than on the other, which is something I will fix later. And look, here's it all attached. Those seams are mostly aligned. And now I just have to repeat the same thing on the other side. And then after I had this done, I finished opening up the armhole. And I think I ended up doing a total of like 10 to 12 inches, like all in total. And I just have them laying down together so that they match. And I actually had to redo this seam because when I finished it and washed it, because I'd only folded over once, I started getting fraying. So I went back, took my stitches out again, which I think is actually what I'm doing here, and then like did a double fold on it on all of the seams that I could so that they won't fray, because the raw edge is actually folded under another seam. This didn't end up looking the prettiest, but it's under the arm, so I don't think people will look there very often. You shouldn't be staring at people's armpits. That's how I feel about it. So. And be sure to try the shirt on to see how you feel about the armhole, because you want to make sure it's a comfortable size and not too snug. Also, if you're sewing with microfiber, which I'm pretty sure is what this is, make sure you have a really sharp needle, and you'll probably need to replace it once your project is done, because that's how that went. And for the neckline, I tried this on and I didn't like the neckline. So I have this center marked where I want how far down I want it to go. And to do the sides, I'm just going to measure over and then make a little snip to mark, where I'm going to. Also, this is my second time recording this because the first time my dog coughed, but then it kind of sounded like maybe I farted, so I'm re-recording it. But telling you what happened because it's super funny. I think, in my opinion, it's funny. And then I'm just going to curve down to the mark that I can see, even though you can't see it. I know it's there. Which, since I'm the one with the scissors, that's really all that matters. And I'm not going to finish this any more than this. I kind of like the raw edge on the t-shirt. I just made sure it was smooth and even, and then I'll stretch it out and it'll curl under a little bit. On the back side, I'm just cutting to just below the seam. I'm not cutting any further down. So it'll be higher in the back than it is in the front. And after completely finishing it and trying it on, I had this extra fabric and I was like, you know what this really needs? It's what every woman needs. A pocket. And I have 2 of these, so I can make 2 little pockets that have that same little pattern and will match up. So I just had to make sure my pocket would actually fit on the space. It's not a huge pocket. I am limited on the, depth of the pocket. But it's okay. And then I top stitched all the seams to make sure they looked pretty. And yes, there's going to be 2 pockets. And then I just lined this up, play around, see which one looks prettiest. And then pinned it down. Actually measured. I did measure it. I didn't just eyeball it. Pinned it down. And I'm going to use a lot of pins to go around 3 of the sides, but only 3 because, you know, it would be kind of a useless pocket if you went around all 4. So, don't do that. And really, this was easier than pinning anything to a shirt because this doesn't stretch. And I did this on both sides. And because I decided to add a little bit of whimsy into this, I didn't just straight stitch around it. I did a pretty stitch with a purple that matches the shirt. And I didn't get a video of the final shirt, just a couple of goofy pictures. And I already sent it to my friend for her birthday. Late, but sent it. So what am I doing in this picture? I don't know. Look, I don't even have pockets on it yet. I wasn't completely done. What was I thinking? I mean, it's really cute, but seriously. Also, notice in this picture, the seam at the bottom isn't even. I went back and fixed that. So all the seams were even all the way around and looked a little bit cleaner and neater. What do you think? Now, this shirt is strictly for me because it has a turtle. And when I saw this shirt, I was like, no, I absolutely have to have this shirt. It is about 2 or 3 sizes too small, but I was going to have that shirt. So then all I had to do was find something to go with it to make it look cute. How do I make it bigger? And I found this. I think it's like a swimsuit wrap kind of thingy. I know those have a name, but I don't know what it is. But it's in good condition and it matches. It just has this little frayed edge, but that's not a big deal. But it's going to be perfect. Okay, so to make the wing of the shirt, I'm actually going to cut this in half long ways so that it can have a really big sleeve. It makes sense. So I'm cutting it like it was just really long, so I folded it in half. Long ways, like hot dog style, if you remember that from school. And then folded it so it fit on my mat. And then I'm just going to cut along what would be like the middle edge so I can cut it in half. And if you're looking at this going, why didn't you iron this? Because I didn't. That's my reasoning. I didn't want to. I wanted to struggle with the lack of ironing. I was honestly just bound and determined that I wouldn't have to get my iron out. And I do later to actually hem it. I do actually have to do that. So I'm just going to barely cut this off so I can cut it in half because I didn't want to try to cut it in half. Otherwise, it's really long. So then I took one of those really long pieces and matched up the edges, tried to figure out which side is the pretty side, and find the center. And I'm going to line the center up with the shoulder seam of the t-shirt, right? Like I did before, want the center to start in the top. And then I'm going to pin it all the way down one side, go back and pin it down all the way down the other side. And if you're like, why did I pin this one and clip the other one? I have no good reason for that. Other than to have a really cute pin cushion that I felt needed to make an appearance in the video somewhere. And both of these, this fabric is a little bit stretchy as well, but I don't want to stretch them out. So I'm trying not to stretch it. And then, because it's me, I stick my shoulder in the way for a while. So we're going to skip ahead. No shoulder. After I pin all the way down that side, I go ahead and do the other one. My phone just dinged. And you can see here in the shot that I tapered the t-shirt. So that's why it looks like that. I did taper it when I cut it. And then I'm just going to take the other half and pin it. After pinning, I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm just going to do a straight stitch. I could have done a zigzag stitch. I don't really remember. But I just stitched from the shoulder down one side, from the shoulder down the other side. And now I have to do the arms because unlike the other one, this wasn't already sewn together. So I'm just laying it out, putting the ends together. And this is the original edge of the wrap, whatever this thing is called. This was the original like hemmed edge. So I was just going to use that for the edge, right? Makes sense. And I'm pinning it. Nope, I'm clipping it. Don't ask me why. I'm going to clip that together until I, get to where the armhole would be. And I don't remember how big I made the armhole. I could look at the ruler because I measured it, but probably I did make it big enough the first time. And then I decided to change this and it was too small the second time. So I marked where to stop stitching. So I know where to stop. And then after doing all of that, I didn't like the way it fit. The sleeves were too long and it was too short, so I'm redoing it.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
And I left that in because I thought it was funny. So I figured out how long I wanted the sleeves to be. And I'm just going to lay this out nice and flat. And then cut off the amount that I want. So the sleeves will now be the right length. And they were really too long. But the shirt was also too short. So like it tended to kind of blow up in the wind. And I didn't like that. Luckily, I had the two problems. So I could use the fabric that was cut off to fix both problems. And here I'm showing, I actually ended up doing a rolled hem, which is what that is called. I couldn't think of that earlier. And I actually went back and ironed it. I did have to get the iron out. Ironed everything, did a rolled hem around the entire edge to make it look nicer and reduce fraying. Which you think I would have learned from the first shirt, but I didn't. And then I had to restitch this for the shirt, which ended up being too small the second time, and I had to take out some stitches, but whatever. Now, to fix the length problem, I'm going to take this strip of fabric, and I have the shirt and the fabric pinned in several places to line up. And I'm going to just lay the fabric over the t-shirt edge about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to line up all of my pins starting in the center, and then I go out to the edge of the t-shirt part, and then the center part of the sleeve, and then the edge of the sleeve. And everything is also pinned on the fabric to make sure that's all spaced evenly. And I'm also pinning this, so since the sleeves were longer than the shirt anyway, I'm actually curving this down, so it just kind of makes a little curve and it hangs down a little bit further on the sides. I do kind of wish I hadn't stitched the front of the fabric for this little part there on the bottom to the back, but it's okay. It still looks cute. And when I stitch it, I'm just going to top stitch over it. I'm going to do little hand ruffles. I'm just going to gather, that's what they are. I'm just going to gather it in a few places to get that fabric to fit in that space, and it'll make it look a little bit ruffly. Not a lot ruffly, just a little bit. So I'll have some gathers, and none of the fabric is going to waste. Also, I don't have to hem any edges because all of these were already hemmed. Except for the edge I cut off. But that's going to be stitched over, so it'll be fine.
And again, there is a dog at my feet while I'm trying to work.
And here's me thinking I'm done for the second time. And see, I cut a little V-neck on the neck. And see, it just kind of ruffles a little bit. Again, I don't really like the edges as much. I kind of wish I'd left that open a little bit further down. But super cute. I was almost completely happy with this shirt. And then I got the idea to add a little crocheted neckline. Look how cute. I could not tell you how I did it. I had to follow a video tutorial, and I had to follow a simple video tutorial because the first one I found was too complicated. What do you think? Isn't this cute? Which one's your favorite? This one is my favorite, and it's mine. Oh, I'm so happy.
Are you so judgy?
I have worn this several times, and I love it. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned to find out what Heather does next time.